is I'm going to plug in a number and it spits out the y coordinate. So it can be any number. It doesn't have to be certain particular numbers. And that's where the line comes from whenever you graph it. So Dakota, give me a number, not too big of a number, preferably an integer. Just any one that you want though. 7. Alright, so for 7, if I plug in 7, I would do 2 times 7 minus 1, which would be 14 minus 1, which would give me 13. So I would have the point 7, 13. Goes off the graph a little bit up here. So let's pick numbers smaller than 7 after that, okay? Adam, give me another number, something smaller than 7. What? Okay, for 6, I would have 2 times 6 minus 1, which would be 12 minus 1, which would give me 11. So 6, 11, still off the graph a little bit, but we can tell kind of where it would be. All right, let's see. Zena, give me another number. Okay, 3. I'll write that down. 3. So if I do 2 times 3 minus 1, I have 6 minus 1, which will give me 5. So I'm just plugging in numbers. 3, 5. I'm going to graph that point. Okay? Let's see. Gabe, give me another number. All right, 2. 2 times 2 minus 1. Let's see. And so that'll give me 4 minus 1, which will be 3. So 2, 3. Okay? Abby, give me a number. Let's do a negative this time. Negative 4. So 2 times negative 4 minus 1. That would be negative 8 minus 1, which would give me negative 9. So I would graph the point negative 4, negative 4, negative 9. Let's see, Aiden, give me another negative number. Okay. I'm going to not let you do negative 6 because negative 4 was already at negative 9. And so I think it's probably going to go off the graph if we do that. So let's pick a number higher than negative 4, but still negative. Negative 3, okay? So negative 3, if we do 2 times negative 3 minus 1, we get negative 6 minus 1 gives us negative 7. So negative 3, negative 7. It's right here. One number I always like to use is 0 because sometimes that gives us important information. So 2 times 0 minus 1 would be 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. Very good. So 0, negative 1. And so I could keep picking numbers. I could pick negative 1, negative 2, positive 1, positive 4, positive 5. I could pick numbers in between those. I could pick negative 1.7. I could pick negative 2.2. I could pick 7.3. I could pick 4 thirds. I could pick any number I want. And all of those numbers, when I pick them and plug them into here, they're going to all line up in a line. And you can see right here that if we connect all those points that we've graphed, that they all end up on that line. So this is a strategy you can use with any graph you ever have to do. Any graph you ever have to do. Now, we're going to learn how to graph lines in a much easier way, and you probably already kind of know how to do that in an easier way. But we're going to do some, like if we wanted to graph the square root of x, or if we wanted to graph x squared plus 7x, we could do the same thing by just plugging in numbers over and over until we get a picture of the graph. It's not the fastest way, but it will give us all the points on the graph if we do that. It's also helpful when you do some other stuff. So let's do this next one. We've got 1/2 x minus 4. Let's see. Riley, give me a number that you want to plug in. 5. All right, so we'll plug in 5. So 1/2 times 5 minus 4. So half of 5 would be 2.5 minus 4. It's going to give us negative 1.5. So, that's acting crazy. So, 5, excuse me, negative 1.5, that'd be about right here. You're going to have to estimate a little bit. Okay. Let's see, Dakota, give me another number. 3. So if we plug in 3, we'll have 1/2 times 3 minus 4. So that's 1.5 minus 4. That's going to give us negative 2.5. And so 3, negative 2, what's this doing here? Negative 2.5. So 3, negative 2.5 right here. Oh, right here. Okay, let's see, Bailey, give me a negative number here. Negative 4. So negative 4, if we had 1/2 times negative 4 minus 4, that's going to give us negative half of, doesn't like it when I write small. Negative 2 minus 4 would be negative 6. So negative 6. So negative 4, negative 6. Right here. Let's see. Madison, give me another negative number. All right, negative 2. We'd have 1/2 times negative 2 minus 4. And that'd give us negative 1 minus 4. So we'd get negative 5. So negative 2, negative 5. And I always like to use 0. So half of 0 minus 4 is going to be 0 minus 4, which is going to be negative 4. So negative 4. So 0, negative 4. And you'll see the points that we've picked right here, they all line up very nicely right here along this line. So one way that you can graph is just to plug numbers in, because every time you plug an X in, it gives you the Y back out that goes with it. So it gives you the coordinates that you would plot. So that is the most basic way to graph anything, and it'll work to graph any type of equation that you have. Like even if I took something crazy like one of these over here on the wall, like that negative 2e to the x times e to the 2x minus 1, if I wanted, probably need a calculator for it, but I could plug in 1, see what value I get, plot the point. I could plug in 2, see what value I get, plot the point, and just do that until I get a picture of the graph. Not the best way to graph it. Something like that, you just need to let the calculator do it for you. But so this is one way to graph, and this is a way to graph that I think a lot of students miss out on. Not that I really want you graphing this way, because this is not the quickest way to graph. But understanding that you plug in an X and it spits out the Y coordinate that goes with it is really going to help you whenever you're answering questions, whenever we get to like word problems and some of the other things that we'll be doing for this section. So understanding how to graph this way is important, even though it's not going to be the method that we use most of the time. So this takes forever. We've already spent 9 minutes and 14 seconds just graphing 2 problems. We'll probably finish the rest of the notes in 5 minutes, because the easiest way to graph a line is the slope-intercept form of a line. So slope-intercept form of a line, this is the one that you probably remember, y equals mx plus b. That letter m, what does it represent? Do you guys remember? That is your slope. And the b, what does it represent? That is your y-intercept. And the y-intercept means the place it crosses the y-axis. So whenever we're graphing these, This is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. So we always want to start with the y-intercept. That's what you're going to graph first. So Emma, what's the y-intercept of example 3? 5. Right, so we've got negative 2x plus 5. So this right here, that's our y-intercept. So we're going to go to 5 on the y-axis, and we're going to put a dot. Okay? Then we're going to use our slope. The slope is the number that's multiplied by your x. And it needs to be a fraction. So we've got negative 2, but I really need it to be a fraction. So how can I make that a fraction? Over 1. And so this is always rise over run. So that negative 2 tells us down 2. And then the 1 is positive, right 1. So from this point here, we're going to go down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. I actually don't have to keep going down 2, right 1. I could, if I want, go up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. If you need to go in the opposite direction, you can. And then we're just going to draw in our line. When you draw in that line, go all the way to the edge of the graph. Put arrows on the end of your graph because those lines keep on going forever. Okay? Double check yourself. If you have a negative slope, the line should look like it's decreasing from left to right. It should be going down from left to right. Okay? Questions? All right. Okay, this one sometimes will trick kids up a little bit. Aiden, what is the y-intercept of that graph? This one looks weird, doesn't it? What do you think, Riley? It is 5. So that it would be easier if it was written like this: y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5, right? You would have answered that more easily, right? But sometimes they don't put them in that order. So whatever the constant, the number by itself, that's your y-intercept. So we have a y-intercept of 5 again. So I'll put our dot at 5. And then the slope is whatever's multiplied by the x, and make sure you keep that negative with it here. So I've got negative 2 over 3. So that tells me to go down 2 to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. And then I've ran out of room over here. I could go up 2, left 3, up 2, left 3. And we'll draw in our line, draw all the way to the ends, put arrows on the end there. All right, questions? Okay. Oh. For this one, Tristan, what's our y-intercept? It is 0. We don't have one. So the only thing we could do here is add 0 to the end. So 0 is our y-intercept. Very good. That throws people off sometimes. They want to use maybe the 1/4 as their intercept. Sometimes they'll use 1, but it's 0. If there's nothing there for your y-intercept, it's a 0. And then what's the slope, Tristan? 1/4. So we've got to go up 1 to the right 4, up 1 to the right 4. I could also go down 1 to the left 4 on this side, and then I'll draw in my line. I think I know where are you going with it? I think I know what you mean. But I'll be in the line. Yeah. So like if this is your site and this, I wouldn't talk about the shooting thing. That's dangerous. Those kids are good shots.
Somebody just made a small comment about it, and she got a whole lesson about it.
Dude, she took. Was you in our third period last year? Yeah. Dude, one class. I think it was Adam. He said, "Can you even get a scholarship for a shoot team?" The whole class period was basically about a scholarship.
could see that. I mean, I can't say that might not have happened to more than one person before. Okay, so, all right. So, any questions? But like with that, like you gotta line everything up, right? So, like if your sight and because like sights will have two parts of it, right? I think. I don't shoot bows. Shot guns before, but bows are too hard to pull back. I'm not strong enough. But like you gotta have your sights lined up because you have two parts. If they're not lined up, then you gotta have that lined up with the target. It's all gotta be lined up.
What's that pigeon game called? Archery, yeah.
All right, let's look at the next one. This one's a little bit tricky also. Evan, what's the y-intercept? All right, Evan, what is the y-intercept? -7. Good. Okay, Evan, the trickier part of this, what is the slope? There is a slope. It's invisible. What's in front of that X right there? A 1. Okay? So the slope is 1/1. So you go up 1/1, up 1/1. Mm-hmm. We did. We did. Okay. All right. Okay. Questions on that one. So if you do not have a number in front of your X, your slope is a 1. So up 1/1. Okay. Sometimes you might just have negative X. Then your slope is a -1. Oh. Now these are are by far the easiest problems you'll have, and also by far the most confusing, and you are going to miss them. Half the class will understand this. Well, half the class will get this down. Half the class will not. Not because it's hard, just because you don't pay attention and you don't even realize we haven't done example 5. So this is really easy, but you need to really laser focus attention right now because it's not what it seems like it should be. Okay? So, when you have y equals a number, what is your y-intercept of this graph? It is 3. Okay? What is your slope of this graph? Okay? This time it is 0. Okay? Because we don't have an x at all. So we could write this as y equals 0 x plus 3. Because 0x would just be 0 and it'd go away. Right? So you have a slope of 0. So you go up 0/1. Up 0/1. Up 0/1. Up 0/1. So it doesn't actually go anywhere. You just have a horizontal line here at 3. So remember this. If you have y equals a number, just a number with no x, just a number, then that is a horizontal line. We're getting ready to do it on the next. So, and let me tell you why that is, because it seems wrong, right? This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. The y-axis is vertical. It seems like y equals 3 should be a vertical line. Here's why it's not. Y equals 3 tells me that if I make a table of this, that the y-coordinate is always 3, no matter what the x-coordinate is. So it might be -2, 3. So -2, 3, that's right here. So 0, 3, 0, 3 would be right here. They're taking long, extravagant pictures. They're not real. Do not be alarmed. They're not real. Huh? They're not real. They do look real, but they're dummy guns. They do drills and stuff, like drill meet sort of stuff, like when they do the flag stuff. So it's like practice for drills. Like if you were in the military, you would have real guns, but they of course are not actually in the military yet. So Like you might have -7, 3, -7, 3 here. So if you have a bunch of points and their y coordinates are all 3, they line up in a horizontal line. Okay? Because all of these points have a y coordinate of 3. So that's why it is horizontal. Okay? So you've got to remember that. I'm going to put these on the quizzes. I'm going to put them on the test. Half of you are going to miss them because you're not paying attention right now. Yes. Yes. So, for the next one. Alright, so x equals -4. This one, you cannot talk about the slope and the y-intercept or not easily. So this one's not going to have a y-intercept. You just have to know that x equals a number is a vertical line. And that is because the x-coordinate has to be -4. Right? No matter what the y-coordinate is, the x-coordinate has to be -4. So it might be -4, 1. It might be -4, 5. It might be -4, 0. It might be -4, -7. See how those all line up here? Except for I put them all at 3, haven't I? Oops. Let's move these over 1. 1, 5, 0, -7. So we get this vertical line here. Okay? So x equals a number is a vertical line. Y equals the number is a horizontal line. Now, we didn't talk about this yesterday. We should have. What's the slope of that line? It is not 0. 0 is when you have a horizontal line. It is not 1. Because 1 would go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. -0 would just be 0. It is not a number. It is a word. It starts with a U. Undefined. So this graph, it didn't ask this question, but vertical lines have an undefined slope. Okay. So the way I think of that is whenever you're talking about a slope, it tells you how steep the line is, right? So if you have a line that has a slope of 0, it's not steep at all. It's flat, right? But if it has a slope of 1, it's going to be steeper. And 2 would be steeper, and 3 and 4 and 5 until the number gets, it could go to a gazillion, but eventually it will become completely vertical. You can't describe that with a number because it's the steepest possible slope you can have, right? A cliff. So that steepness of the line is so steep that you can't describe it, so it's undefined. Okay, so you can't describe that. Also, if we were to do rise over run for a vertical line, we would, like from here to here, we would rise 4, but then we'd run 0 because you don't go to the left or right any. And can we divide something by 0? We cannot. That's undefined, right? So vertical lines have undefined slopes. All right, so